In this experiment, we'll separate an unknown mixture containing sucrose, aspirin, and either acetanilide or phenacetin. Weigh out approximately 3 grams of the unknown mixture. Dissolve the mixture in about 45 milliliters of dichloromethane in a clean and dry Erlenmeyer flask. Swirl and/or stir the mixture thoroughly until no more solid appears to dissolve. Any undissolved solids are likely to be sucrose. Set up the separatory funnel with the stopcock closed on a ring attached to a ring stand. Place a funnel along with a piece of pre-weighed fluted filter paper into the top of the separatory funnel. Filter the solution through the paper into the separatory funnel. Rinse the flask with about 5 milliliters of dichloromethane and add to the filter paper. Once the solution has completely drained, set the filter paper aside to fully dry. If sucrose remains stuck in the original flask, set this aside as well. You can easily scrape the crystals from the flask onto the filter paper later. Weigh the dry filter paper and sucrose again before the end of the lab to obtain the data needed to determine the mass of sucrose.
Extract the dichloromethane solution in a separatory funnel with 2 separate 25 ml portions of 1 molar sodium hydroxide. Swirl the set funnel containing the mixture of dichloromethane and sodium hydroxide solutions thoroughly before stoppering. Once the stopper is inserted, quickly invert the funnel, keeping the stopper held tightly in place, and bend the stopcock. Swirl the inverter flask with stopcock open for a few seconds. Keeping the set funnel inverted, close the stopcock, shake for a few seconds, then vent again. Repeat this process with longer periods of shaking between vents as needed. A total shaking time of 20 to 30 seconds is needed for each individual extraction. Between the first and second extractions, you will need to remove the aqueous layer from the separatory funnel. To do this, drain the lower dichloromethane layer into the labeled container. Pour the aqueous layer from the top of the set funnel into a separate labeled container. Pour the dichloromethane solution back into the set funnel and add the second portion of sodium hydroxide solution. Extract using the same procedure described above. Combine the second aqueous layer with the first. Carefully add about 10 ml of 6 molar hydrochloric acid to the combined aqueous layers. Stir the solution thoroughly and check the acidity with pH paper. If the pH is greater than 2, add more HCl, 1 milliliter at a time. Place the mixture in an ice bath for at least 10 minutes prior to the vacuum filtration. Isolate the aspirin precipitate via vacuum filtration. Wash the isolated solid with a minimum amount of ice-cold water. Label and store the wet filtered cake according to your instructor's directions. Measure the mass of the aspirin isolated once the solid has dried.
To remove excess water from the organic solution, add a small scoop of anhydrous magnesium sulfate to the dichloromethane solution and swirl. If all of the powder cakes at the bottom or sides of the flask, add another small scoop. You know you have added enough drying agent when some of the powder floats free in the solution.
Let the solution sit over the drying agent for at least 10 minutes. Remove the drying agent via gravity filtration into a clean, dry, pre-weighted 125 ml Erlenmeyer flask. Label and store according to your instructor's directions. Measure the mass of the flask once the dichloromethane solvent has been evaporated so you can determine the mass of your unknown isolated.
The following table contains data collected during the experiment.